Everyone has seen the Carl's Jr. commercial where the Sports Illustrated model is eating some huge messy burger on top of a car. Did that make you run to Carl's Jr. and buy the burger? It may have made you remember the burger if you found yourself at Carl's Jr., but I highly doubt that it made you go that instant and buy the burger the supermodel is eating. Today I will be refuting the argument that the current presentation of the media, including magazines, commercial, and restaurant slogans pertaining to nutrition and health, promotes obesity and chronic disease. I will show first how the statistics are skewed towards obesity. Second, that values push society to buy, that value pushes society to buy. And third, a magazine's sheer effect. The first item I would like to respond to are the statistics presented to us to prove the effects of obesity. We were told that the top 4 main causes of death are heart disease, cancer, lower respiratory disease, and stroke. I'm not disputing that point. Per the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, those are the leading causes of death in the United States. However, obesity is not the only cause for these diseases. For instance, again according to the CDC, tobacco causes 75% of all lower respiratory disease, while another 15% is due to occupational-related exposure. The remaining 10% is due to genetics or asthma. Nowhere does it say that obesity is the cause or symptom of lower respiratory disease. Another disease mentioned was diabetes. Per the American Diabetes Association, being overweight is a risk factor for developing this disease, but other risk factors such as family history, ethnicity, and age also play a role. Unfortunately, too many people disregard the other risk factors for diabetes and think that weight is the only risk factor for type 2 diabetes. Most overweight people never develop type 2 diabetes, and many people with type 2 diabetes are at a normal weight or only moderately overweight. There are many other factors that play a huge role in these diseases, including genetics, age, and gender. Another statistic that I would like to discuss is the results from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, stating that at least 20% of each state's population is obese. In California alone, this survey called 16,832 people at home during the day to ask their weight and height. There were over 37 million people living in California the year of that survey. This means that 0.045% of the entire population was surveyed, less than half the 0.1%. I don't believe that less than a half of 0.1% of people at home during the day is a good representation of any population. Secondly, a claim was made that the portrayal of larger portion sizes adds to the attitude of buy more, consume more, which contributes to obesity. About a year ago, the FDA started a pilot program that required food chains with 20 or more locations to display the calories for all the food directly on the menu. The Washington Post published an article stating that the research done in a fast food restaurant in King County, Washington, showed that the display of calories didn't change the patron's behavior. A study by NYU revealed the same thing, that even though people were shocked, they still purchased and ate the same amount of calories. However, one thing that would deter people is price. There's research showed that if a tax was implemented on a big calorie item, that no one would buy it, proving that what people are looking for is value. With all the information out there for everyone to see, I fail to see how the buy more, consume more attitude is the media's fault. The third claim I would like to discuss is the unreliable sources that are being advertised. Given to us was the example of 1-800-GET-SLIM. The U.S. National Library of Medicine states that the lap band, which is what 1-800-GET-SLIM is only for severely obese people. With less weight, severely obese people can start to move around easier. Plus, since the lap band literally shrinks the stomach, the person can start to learn to eat less. As for the magazines, there has always been a controversy about how magazines depict women. The Journal of Consumer Research states that a study revealed exposure to thin model images either negatively affected self-image or the exposure led to self-enhancement, meaning that it made people want to emulate the thin models, not causing them to be obese. Therefore, although Americans may be unhealthy, the statistics are skewed to blame obesity. Society is compelled towards value, not slogans, not media. And lastly, magazines have been notorious for images of unrealistic body types, not images pushing us to overeat. For reasons like these, the media's representation of information is not responsible for promoting obesity and chronic diseases.
All right, I like the visualization at the beginning. You give a nice explanation of the impact of the ad and how unlikely it is to produce that particular effect. And as a setup of the counterclaim that you're presenting, I think it works pretty well. The secondary issues are labeled clearly as you're speaking. I'm not exactly sure that they were the claims that the advocate presented or if they were your own counterclaims, and I think that could be a little bit clearer. I did understand that in some places you were responding directly to some evidence and claims that the advocate presented, and I think your signposting on that could be a little bit stronger, but it was not hard to follow the points that you're presenting. I thought you had good counterclaims and evidence on your points on the respiratory issues and diabetes and the relationship to obesity. I thought you did a pretty good job on that. The challenge on the advocate study, based on, you obviously did some research and found out how the survey was conducted, and the challenge on the 16,000, I suppose, being at a small sample, that might be a reasonable challenge if you could give us some explanation about why that would be an insufficient number to make an inference from. A lot of research is done on even smaller numbers and gets very accurate results. I think that if there was some reason to believe that people were not going to be honest in phone interviews, or if the time of day that you're reaching them you get some bias in the people participating, there might be some explanation of that, but I'm just not sure that I know it's a very small percentage, but I don't know that that automatically excludes it from being reliable. Like I said, as you move to the next point, it's also very clear. You did a good job signposting there. I like the counter evidence that you had on that point. I think you need to demonstrate that the advocate's evidence on that point is not particularly strong, but you had good counter evidence on that point. And on the lap band issue, I think you've got a reasonable explanation here. And I thought it was sort of interesting at the end the way you kind of turned the argument around on image, and in fact it could have this enhancement effect. I don't know what the advocate's evidence on that particular point was, but yours is a little generic, but it is an interesting contrast on the way that usually gets seen. I thought you had a very effective summary of your argument at the end of the speech as well. Thank you.